But we're trying to make a deal. They're very tough to make a deal with the EU. They've been very difficult over a period of time, over many, many years. And so it's something we think about, and we're negotiating with them. If we don't make the deal, we'll do the tariffs.
The new report hasn't changed your mind about it at all? There's a new report from the Commerce Department?
The new report is not that kind of a report. It's just really a study that's underway. We've studied it very carefully. We've seen the results. But the bottom line result is whether or not we can make a deal with the EU that's fair. We lose about $151 billion trading with the EU. That's a lot of money. And this has been going on for many years. They wouldn't meet with the Obama administration. And they're meeting with us. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President, should the Mueller report be released while you're abroad next week?
That'll be totally up to the new Attorney General. He's a tremendous man, a tremendous person who really respects this country and respects the Justice Department. So that'll be totally up to him. The new Attorney General, yes. I guess from what I understand, that will be totally up to the Attorney General. Okay?
Mr. President, on your decriminalize homosexuality, are you doing that and why?
Say it?
Your push to decriminalize homosexuality around the world.
I don't know which report you're talking about. We have many reports. Anybody else?
Mr. President, what do you expect from the Austrian Chancellor? What do you expect from the Austrian Chancellor to do in European policy?
Well, we're just going to have a great meeting. We have a great relationship, and our countries have a great relationship. And he's a very young leader, I have to tell you. You are a young guy. That's pretty good.
But the problem with the age is getting better from day to day.
That's right. Someday you won't be saying it. But we have a very good relationship, and we have a great trade relationship, and that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today.
Are you considering replacing Dan Coates as your Director of National Intelligence?
I haven't even thought about it.
Mr. President, you spoke to the Prime Minister of Japan today.
I did.
How hard is it going to be to get North Korea to completely verifiably for that?
Well, I spoke with, this morning, with Prime Minister Abe. Had a long conversation with him. We talked about the trip next week to Vietnam, which would be, I think, very successful. I think the first trip to Singapore was extremely successful. We'll be meeting with Chairman Kim for 2 days, and I think we'll accomplish a lot. We started off with a very good meeting, and I think we'll continue that along. I don't think this will be the last meeting by any chance, but I do think that the relationship is very strong. When we started, as you know, there were a lot of problems. There was the missiles going all over. There were hostages that were being held. There were remains that we wanted to get back. There were many, many things. Now there's no nuclear testing, no missiles going up, and we have a good relationship, very good relationship, I'd say. So I spoke with Prime Minister Abe of Japan about that, and we compared notes, and I think we are very much on the same wavelength. It was a good meeting, good conversation. No, I don't think they're reluctant. I think they want to do something, but you've been talking about this for 80 years. They've been talking about this for many, many years, and no administration has done anything. They've gotten taken to the cleaners, and I think we have a really meaningful relationship. We'll see what happens. The sanctions are on in full. As you know, I haven't taken sanctions off. I'd love to be able to, but in order to do that, we have to do something that's meaningful on the other side. But Chairman Kim and I have a very good relationship. I wouldn't be surprised to see something work out. I really believe that as an economic power, because of its location in between, I mean, you look on a map and you see Russia, China, and right in the middle of everything is South Korea, but North Korea right smack in the middle. So you have Russia, China, and then South Korea, and this is right in the middle. Tremendous potential for economic well-being long-term, and I think he understands that very well. I think he might understand that better than anybody. So they have a great, great potential as a country, and I think that's what they're looking to do. We'll see. But we've made a lot of progress. We've made a tremendous amount. That doesn't mean this is going to be the last meeting, because I don't believe it will. But we have subjects to discuss which will be very fruitful, I believe.
On Andrew McCabe briefing McConnell and Paul Ryan and Devin Nunes, telling them about the investigation into you?
Well, I think Andrew McCabe has made a fool out of himself over the last couple of days, and he really looks to me like sort of a poor man's J Edgar Hoover. He's I think he's a disaster. And what he was trying to do was terrible, and he was caught. I'm very proud to say we caught him. So we'll see what happens. But he is a disgraced man. He was terminated, not by me, he was terminated by others. The IG report was a disaster from his standpoint. Anybody reading the IG report would say, how could a man like this be involved with the FBI? And the FBI has some of the greatest people, some of the finest people you'll ever meet, but this man is a complete disaster. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. I will be innocent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so the president making news and a couple of headlines. One, what we've been reporting on about this Mueller probe coming to an end, and the president was asked about Bill Barr, his new AG, called him a tremendous man, and then, on the whole Andrew McCabe bid, the former acting FBI director who's been out and about selling his book and talking to a lot of media outlets, most notably with Anderson last night, saying that the president, he believes, possibly has been this Russian asset, and he called him a disgraced man. So a lot of those questions directed toward the president from our own White House correspondent, Caitlin Collins. Caitlin, I heard your voice several times there. So let's just begin with, what did you find most noteworthy with regard to what he said about Mueller, Bill Barr, and this investigation potentially coming to a close now?
So a lot of the focus since our great reporting from our justice team earlier about that Mueller report potentially being announced that it's over next week is the president is going to be in Vietnam next week for that second summit with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. So I asked the president, is that something he thinks should be released while he's out of the country and overseas? And he said that ultimately he believes that's going to be up to Bill Barr. He remarked that he once again thinks Bill Barr, who he nominated to be his second attorney general, is going to be a tremendous attorney general. But then when I asked the president if this is a report that should be made public, because that is something that is very much still a question, even though the investigation has come to an end and we know that Barr is expected to give some kind of summary to Congress, whether or not that the American public can read it is still going to be a big question. The president kind of looked around the room. It seemed like he was looking towards Sarah Sanders, who was standing to his left, and said that from what he understands, he believes that too will be up to Bill Barr, how much of that report does eventually become public. And then, of course, there at the end, I asked the president about Andrew McCabe and a claim he's made in recent days that he briefed the Gang of Eight, those congressional leaders, way back when in 2017, I believe, on the investigation into Trump, in a Gang of Eight that includes not only Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, then House Speaker Paul Ryan, and big Trump ally Devin Nunes. Now, McCabe claims that they had no reaction when he told them that he was conducting an investigation into the president. And I asked the president how he felt about that, but instead of answering that, he turned and said that he believed Andrew McCabe was a disgrace and talked about how he got fired from the FBI and whatnot, but didn't answer how he felt about the Republicans not having a reaction to his briefing. Got it.
Caitlin, excellent questions. Thank you so much for all of that, getting that from the president. And so, Gloria Borger, let me just bring you back in. I mean, I think it is stunning to think about. Caitlin hit the nail on the head. The question of the president on the fact that this whole thing is coming to an end, that this report may drop, with Bill Barr soon. And then you juxtapose that with the fact that the president will be in Vietnam next week, meeting for the second time with Kim Jong-un. Should he or should he not go is a whole other question that's way above my pay grade. But still, what do you make of that?
And one more thing, Michael Cohen could be testifying publicly.
Boom.
About his relationship with the president. So the question is whether Barr wants to kind of release something in the middle of all this while the president is overseas. We don't know the answer. What is stunning to me as we think about all of this is that I actually believe that Bob Mueller is going to do some kind of mic drop here and go away. I think maybe Congress could subpoena him, but maybe he's performing as a federal prosecutor. He will have done his job. He will have filed his report. And knowing what we know about Mueller and how quiet he is and how he shies away from the limelight, it will be interesting to me because I don't know that we're ever going to hear from him. I think that he's just going to want the report to speak for itself to the Attorney General. Now it's up to Congress. Once Barr decides to do whatever he does, whether he redacts it or whether he writes a summary, now the ball moves into Congress's court. You see, Michael Cohen will be going before Congress. They could subpoena the document. They could leak the document. Maybe they can subpoena, Mueller. I don't know at this point, because we haven't gone through this before in this kind of a way. But I think all of these options are sort of hanging out there while the American public really kind of wants to know what the special prosecutor a special counsel was doing for these couple of years.
Absolutely. So perhaps the public will learn in time. You get this feeling that it is soon forthcoming, but let's also just keep our expectations in check, to Shimon Prokopez's point, and also remember that whole SDNY investigation has a whole other life of its own.
And so do the courts, because this is going to end up in the courts most likely.
Yeah,
So.
Gloria Borger, thank you.